The year is 1933. America is 4 long years into the Great Depression. President Herbert Hoover hands the country over to Franklin D. Roosevelt and the hope of his New Deal. In movie theaters, people marvel as King Kong climbs to the top of the Empire State Building. In San Francisco, construction begins on the Golden Gate Bridge. In the hills of South Dakota, a sculpture of amazing scale is dedicated. While in Camden, New Jersey, the first drive-in theater opens. And a gal in Whitman, Massachusetts, named Ruth Graves Wakefield, invents the chocolate chip cookie. The citizens of Florida, hit hard by the end of the land boom, hurricanes, and the Depression, have little cause to celebrate. But in one small town along the banks of the Caloosahatchee River, there is a growing sense of optimism. An architect named Nathaniel Gilliard Walker has dared to dream in stone and steel, to dream of form and grace, to dream of a structure that would set this town apart, provide jobs to men with no work, and would lift the spirits of all who climbed its steps.
It had a big economic effect in downtown Fort Myers because you had, I don't know, it was I thought about 100 people working on it at one time. And they were all getting $1 a day, and they worked 3 days a week, but they spent money downtown. I mean, they went to my dad's barbershop and got a haircut. So he was pleased, or maybe a shave, and so it helped everybody downtown.
It was the most beautiful building probably in the whole area.
I think most people couldn't understand why or how Fort Myers, the little country town of Fort Myers, could have such a gorgeous building. And it was, I mean, we looked at this as sort of the place that we were so fortunate to have. I can't really describe it any other way.
The first thing that comes to my mind is coming here when I was a young boy and actually watching them finish up on the construction of it, because my father's office was just across the street there, and my mother used to come down and pick him up each day, and I watched them as they were finishing the construction.
We were all so thrilled because there was no money, everything was dull, and I was making, $15 a week, and when I quit working in '38, I was living and supporting myself on $15 a week. Mullet was $3 for a quarter, if you can remember, and it was delivered to your house. And things were just very tight and very poor, but we didn't know we were so poor. We didn't know we were so lacking. But when this building was begun and finished, the whole town turned out. If you could have just been here in 1933 when it was dedicated, you would have had your heart warmed.
It's just different. It was absolutely different from anything in Fort Myers. It's the only thing like it. It was the only thing that had the huge columns. It was the only thing that had the texture of this unique coquina shell base that it has. And it was tall. It was just overpowering almost for a little 4-year-old kid coming in here.
After the mail was put up at 9 o'clock at night, and my family would sometimes take a little drive in the moonlight, and they'd let me run up these stairs to box 606, which I could barely reach as I got on my toes with the big key and get the mail for the family.
Oh, it made people feel wonderful. First of all, because it gave a lot of people some jobs that didn't have jobs back in 33, 35 in the depths of the Depression. But in addition, it was kind of a cornerstone of the community, because if you look around downtown Fort Myers, it is unique to all of the other buildings. Most of the buildings were built quite a bit earlier, but it became a big part of the community, and all of the business people in town, the lawyers and the accountants and the store owners, it was kind of a place where people would come and chat. You know, we'd come pick up our mail and we'd talk to everyone, whoever was there that day. And it was just kind of a gathering place, if you will.
Nat Walker's dream was a reality. The building now stood at the center of the community, and for more than 30 years, it was a meeting place, inspiring, welcoming, and open to all.
It wasn't a building that frightened you. It was a building that said welcome. come up, I have something for you. But always when the windows were open or the doors or even the boxes, cool air would come out those little openings. And that made it not a frightening, but still a real cool place to come.
Usually my brother, who was a year older, he would get to do the key because he was the tallest and could reach. But then we'd fight over the mail. But that was my very early recollections, right here at this place, at that wall.
Downtown Fort Myers was, particularly this building, this was where everybody congregated in the mornings to pick up their mail. And there was parallel parking out here, so you'd come in from the north and pull into place and walk in and pick up your mail. And it would take you at least 30 minutes to do that because you get into conversations.
It was a much slower time in the community than it is now. People took time to talk to each other and to know each other. And that was a time when you could walk down First Street here or walk through the post office and say hello and know everybody that you passed, know them by name.
I used to come here with my mother, and so did my brother, and when she got the mail and went to mail a package or something, one thing that my brother and I used to do was look at all these fossils and little fish and animals that were in this coral rock. That was the most fascinating thing to us, to walk around these columns, my brother and I, and look at the different fossils that were in this in these columns and in this stone. And every time we came, that we were kind of excited just to come and see how many pieces of coral we could see or how many different kinds of little fish we could find in this coral.
I was always interested in history, and I think this post office building is one of the most beautiful buildings in South Florida. And I think for Fort Myers to be lucky enough to have it is just the greatest thing in the world. And through the people with whom Sidney had lived for many years, the Jewett family, he became acquainted with the architect, Nat Walker, and his wife.
This was the active part of town, and this building was, of course, more beautiful than anything else that we had had. The architect was superb.
I hope that the people coming will enjoy it as much as all of us who've lived here and watched it grow and used it will do the same.
In 1967, the U.S. Postal Service completed construction of a new downtown post office, and Nat Walker's stately neoclassic building began its second career as a federal courthouse. After 30 years in this capacity, the federal government built a new federal courthouse, and the old post office stood empty for the first time in more than 60 years. The decades of hard use had begun to take their toll on a building that was now a senior statesman on the streets of downtown. As the building sat vacant, water found its way inside the walls. Woodwork split, plaster fell, and drop ceilings sagged to reveal long-hidden coffered ceilings and the ornate plasterwork of an era now fading from memory. In late 2003, Florida Arts was granted a 99-year lease and given a mandate to create a cultural arts center, to restore the building's historic character, and to once more give this stately building a vital role to play in the lives of residents and visitors. The changes wrought here these past few months represent the culmination of years of planning, hard work, and determination. But this is only the beginning. Today, this building is a living monument to the finest craftsmen and artisans of its day. Through the generous contributions of those who share our vision and the hard work and dedication of friends and volunteers alike, this building stands ready once more to change the lives of all who climb its steps. Won't you climb the steps with us? Won't you join in making the dream that is the Sidney and Berne Davis Arts Center come true?